What makes me love this game so much is the competition, the preparation that goes into it, and more importantly, letting them know that you're someone that's going to fight every second till that last second.
Trell, thanks for being on. Thanks for taking the time. When did you know athletics was going to be your thing?
When I was a kid, I would always watch my dad, who's a police officer, play flag football. I remember looking at him back then. He had the Jerry curl, and he would run. He would put the Jerry curl, the little juice line up the back, and I was like, damn, he's quick. He can run. I didn't really know what fast was or quick was, but I just knew the other guys couldn't really catch him. A couple of years later, he signed my brother up for his first tackle football season at the Homestead Hurricanes. I was 5. I wasn't able to play. And I just remember my dad keep having to pull me off the field. I would run on the field. He would have to pull me off. And it was just something that I've always gravitated towards. I've always loved football. It's always been my passion. I was dominant in other sports. I still play a lot of basketball to this day. But football was my passion. Football was a thing that it was like my playground. It just took me in a completely different zone than any other facet of my life. It was just great medicine. It was great chemistry, great friendships that I developed during those times. And it was just always something that I wanted to put my foot down and go full throttle with.
Were there any guys that you really looked up to?
I was a real big Dallas Cowboys fan growing up. I used to watch Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvins, Troy Aikman, Jay Novacek, Dion. He was a sensation. He was a guy. Right. You didn't see guys playing both ways. And more importantly, you didn't see guys with that type of swag.
Yeah.
He had a different type of swag. His demeanor was different. And he went out there and he displayed it on Sundays. And he had the do-rag, he had the dance, he had the high step, he had the high socks. Who didn't want to be like Dion back in the days? It didn't matter what position you played, you wanted to be like Dion.
Yeah.
And, just watching things like that and watching guys carry themselves and also keeping themselves out of trouble. My mom would always preach, listen, you play the game, but you never let the game play you. And I've always kept that mentality, even till today. I'm retired. I played the game. I loved the game. I gave the game everything I had. I made great money playing the game. When I was done, I was done. I was able to walk away without any chips on my shoulder, without any, man, I wish I could have did this. Or no, I gave it. Listen, if I went to a Super Bowl, lost a Super Bowl, went to a Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl, got the All Pros, got 3 contracts, got the Pro Bowls. I gave the game everything that I had. I can honestly say that I left it all on the field. And there's not too many players today that can say that.
Right.
I can say that, and I can say honestly that I did leave it all on the field. So if my all wasn't good enough, then so be it, because that's what I gave.
Yeah.
So I walk away with the game with a smile, man. I walk away. I had my son my last year playing in Chicago. So my last year, it was a no-brainer for me. Listen, I was done. I had my little man. Football had run its course, and I was ready for the next chapter of my life, which was fatherhood.
You reminded me of something. You talking about giving it all you had. I remember we were in AZ together, and I remember you came to me. It was like, I'm going to live for you guys today. I was like, man, in my head, I'm thinking, DB, he's not going to live for us. He can't do that yet. And then I remember, as we were going up and we got up to, I think it was like 315 on the incline, I was like, okay, now we're going to start lifting some weights to see if we can keep up. And I'm seeing Trell over there banging out. And I'm like, man, it's a good thing he's not playing linebacker. Otherwise, my spot would be. But I remember that and thinking, I always looked at guys that did things different. I think it was Edge and James. He would jump from, running backs. He'd run with the receivers. I was very observant. So when you came down and basically came up to the next level, I was like, this is a guy that operates on a level where I respect. I like that. I like seeing someone push themselves and not being in a box saying, these guys can do this and this is their weight and this is their speed, and taking on that challenge. So talk a little bit about your mentality. You said you gave it everything you have. And I like talking about a championship mindset.
My number one mindset was never accolades, never to be the best, never to be the fastest, never to be the strongest. My mentality was to always be the toughest, always have the most dog. And that was my mindset with everything that I did my entire life. It didn't matter if it was school, didn't matter what it was. My mentality was always to be the toughest and always have more dog. Because I feel like if you have a different type of dog, if you have a different type of fight, that never quit mentality, you're going to eventually rise to the top. I was at University of Miami, and I started there for 3 years, and I was the slowest corner at the University of Miami. And I was running the low 4.4. And I always told myself, you know, man, you have some guys, Kelly Jennings had the best feet I've probably seen on the cornerback. You know, you have some guys that can just flat out boogie, can just run 4.2 in their sleep. I had to set myself apart. What can you do to set yourself apart? I was the strongest corner. I was the most dominant corner. I was the best tackling corner. I was the most versatile corner. And more importantly, I felt like I had the most dogged corner. Like, it wasn't even close.
Right.
That was my game, to go out there to be the toughest. If it was going to be a receiver lined up against me, good luck. Like, you're going to have a long day.
Yeah.
You're going to have a real long day. Like, my objective was to make him quit. That was my objective. And when I left the NFL, how do I want to be remembered? You know, accolades are great. You know, winning Super Bowl is great. All those things are great. But my number one thing that I wanted to be remembered with was he was a tough ass player. He was tough. You know, he was going to give it to you. And to me, that means everything, because like I said, I think that's what sets you over the top.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to be the best athlete. You're never going to be the fastest. You're never going to be the strongest. But if you have a different type of dog in you and you have a dog mentality, one of my favorite players to just watch play was Darnell Dockett. Dockett was a dog.
Yeah.
When one of my first preseason games, I remember Dockett. I remember Corey Dillon with the New England Patriots running the ball. It was a preseason. And he was running the ball and he was trying to get extra yards. And I just remember seeing Dockett come. And he dropped the people's elbow on him. And I knew then that I got a fighter in him. Like, hang with that dude. Like, just watch him. You know, pick up something from him. Feed off his energy, because Dockett had a different type of dog in him. It's crazy because when you go to different teams, you know, I went to the Giants and they would talk about Dockett. They would be like, man, jeez, like that dude. And, you know, to me, like, that's the biggest compliment that you can get.
Yeah.
Like, damn, boy, like he man, I don't like
him.
You know, it's not necessarily fear. It's just that, damn, like, I would hate to see him 2 times a year.
Yeah.
You know? To me, that's everything. When you're talking about sports, that's everything.
When you have dogs in front and behind you and on the same side, like, you know, they better not come this way. If they come this way, they're not getting anything.
Right.
There's nothing like lining up with players that you know are dogs that you know are going to give it everything they have, and you know that are on a level that's just going to be fun to play with. That's when football is fun.
Right.
You know, when you're playing with guys like that. Be a guy that you enjoyed, you know, playing against a lot because you knew he was going to bring out the best.
I love playing guys like Calvin Johnson. To me, he was one of the best receivers to ever play the game.
Yeah. And
it was a constant challenge. You know, I like playing against Carson Palmer, because I felt like Carson Palmer as a quarterback was very, very, I don't want to say cocky and I don't want to say arrogant. He was just very, very sure of himself.
Right.
Didn't matter how close the coverage was, he felt like he can get the ball in there. Guys like Chad Johnson, I think that Chad had the best feet arguably ever in the game.
Yeah.
You know, his route running he made his slant look like a takeoff. You know, it was phenomenal. So I love being challenged and going against those guys and just going against guys that you know that are going to make you step up, make you bring your A game. Quarterbacks, Aaron Rogers, God used to scare me shitless.
Yeah, me too.
Keep it 100, like, because I knew he was a quarterback that when he got hot, it was going to be a long day in paradise.
Oh yeah.
He can put the ball at the receiver's ear. He can put it on their ankles. He can put the ball where only receivers can get it. And it was going to be a long day. You know, you love playing against guys like that are going to bring the best out of you. I love, to be honest with you, in the Arizona Cardinals, I love my practices because I love going against Anquan Boldin.
Yeah, he was a dog. Yeah.
I felt like you had the best of both worlds, right? Not the fastest of the fastest guys, but Anquan was as strong as it can possibly be. And Larry Fitzgerald, his jumping ability, his timing of the ball, if the ball touched his hands, if the ball touched either of their hands, it was caught.
Yeah.
So you had to play a different game as to, I can't let them touch the ball.
Right.
That was the game that you had to play with them. I can't let the ball touch their hands, because if it does, 99.9% of the time, they're going to come down with that ball.
Two names you brought up, that I tell people, two people I was scared of in my career, and it was Calvin Johnson and Aron Rogers. Only two guys. In college, I did have one guy. I think he played at some Greg Jones.
Oh
yeah. Not in the league, but in college, he looked like a lineman in the backfield.
He was a different animal. Listen, I remember playing and seeing Greg Jones for the first time. We're playing, he's Florida State. And I just remember, they're running backs, they have their hands on their knees. And I just remember seeing all this meat and muscle just hanging in the back of his arm. I'm at the corner position, right? So I'm looking in, and he's just standing like that. And I'm like, what the hell is that back there in the backfield? Like, what is that? Like, is that a person?
I've never seen anything like that.
And he was running. He was giving us the business.
Yeah.
And it was Greg Jones and Sean Taylor, like a one-on-one highlight tape. And they were going like, it was like two beasts just hitting each other, and you can hear the and when the hits were coming, right? But yeah, man, Greg Jones in college was a dog. Yes.
Yeah. I was like, listen, if we don't do anything else, do not make him mad, because that's just going to turn into a bad day.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one for sure.
Somebody came and told me my rookie year, is like, listen, he came from the Giants, and he was like, I wish every player could experience playing in New York for one season. So and I'm from New York too. So the Giants used to play in SUNY Albany. I went to high school not too far from there. So I always wanted to play. That was a team. I don't know if you had a team. Did you have a team? Cowboys, probably.
Cowboys.
Yeah. So for me, I always wanted to play for the Giants, even though Dad was, he played for the Patriots. That was kind of second. It was one or the other. Tell me what it was like.
Arizona, I love playing with Arizona. Don't get me wrong. I think because we built something. We weren't a good team my first 2 years at all. And then, we end up going to a Super Bowl. And then, the records started getting better. The team started getting better. We started getting more players. But I had a lot of fun in Arizona playing. Like with those guys, I felt like it was just real scrappy guys. Like even if some games we didn't win, like you knew that you were in for a dog fight. I think the difference in playing in New York is you really, really get the true NFL experience. And what I mean by that is, in Arizona, we had great fans. Don't get me wrong. When we built that new stadium, we had great fans. The fans weren't as great when we were playing in Sun Devil Stadium. It was a little empty, but when we built a new stadium, it was rocking. It was crunk every Sunday. Yeah. In New York, I don't think the fan base is as crunk, maybe because they can't afford them seats, but the level of exposure you get is different. When you walk around, or you're in a restaurant, or you're in a club, or you're in a lounge, I think the love that you get, the attention you get, the awareness that you get is on a different level. The media attention is night and day. You can say whatever you want to say in Arizona and get away with it. You can't sneeze in New York and think you're gonna get away with it. It's not happening. I think it was a little bit more first class, as far as the facilities, the handouts, things of that nature. Arizona was a little bit more reserved, and you don't know the difference unless you've been somewhere else, right? So me coming from Arizona going to New York, I'm like, damn, I can just get this whenever I want, or I can just, eat this whenever I want, or everything is just so clean and nice and just first class. And to me, that was just the biggest difference. But I love playing in both places for different reasons. Fans weren't as crunk, as exciting as the ones in Arizona. But when I remember when we went to the playoffs and playoff time came, it was like, man, it was like almost like a different fan base. Like they were crunk, we were getting it in that stadium. Yeah. And I think to me, as a football player, I think sometimes you need that. Sometimes you look forward to that. Just that extra excitement. But both organizations are amazing.
Yeah.
You know, playing for both teams were amazing, but I think you just get a different spotlight, you know, once you're in that New York and New Jersey area.
You won a Super Bowl there. Is there any kind of quick story you'd want to share that would that's just a really good memory for you?
From that year is, you know, we won a great football team. You know, after 14 games of the season with only 2 games left, we were 7-7.
Yeah.
We had to win our last 2 games to even make it to the playoffs. And it was just a mentality that we had. You know, we understood where we were at that point in time. We understood what it took as a team. And more importantly, we understood that we had to be all in, which means no one on the sideline. You know, if you're hurt, you're nicked up, fight through it. You know, if you can't run, you can't run. That's a different scenario.
Right.
But if you can go and you can fight for your brothers next to you, we need all hands on deck. And I think we bought in as a team with an all-in mentality that we were going to do the best we could. You know, did we know that we were going to end up winning the Super Bowl? Absolutely not. I don't think there's one person on that team that could tell you, oh yeah, we thought that we were going to win the Super Bowl, because they'll be lying. But we knew that we had an opportunity to win each and every game that possessed itself each and every week. We knew that we had that opportunity. And we listen, we put our best foot forward, and we got together as a team. Coaches also involved, organization, you know, front staff, all involved. And listen, this is what we have to do in order to make this run. These are the best players. They need to be on the field. We need to have everybody in. Trainers, let's get it right. And let's fight. Let's fight. And I think that mentality alone, I saw the best team that I've ever been a part of within those 5 and 6 games. The best teams I've ever been a part of. I mean, they were dominant. You know, we were clicking on all cylinders. And I think the best thing, the absolute best thing about the later part of that season was the chemistry.
Yeah,
it was phenomenal. It was like anything I've never been a part of anything like that. And we weren't like you. If you matched us up guys for guys, I wouldn't say that we were the best in the NFL. I don't think anyone would have said that.
Yeah.
But at that point in time, we were the hottest team, and we were the best team in the NFL at that time. And I think we displayed it within our chemistry. And that's the reason why we were as successful. Not because, oh, you know, we can throw the farthest, or we ran the fastest, or we hit the hardest. I don't think that's why we won. I think we won because we developed and had the best chemistry during that backstretch.
Thanks for sharing that. And speaking of, what did you do after you guys won? What did Trell do? I want to know what Trell did after the Super Bowl win.
You want to know what Trell did?
Yeah.
Trell went to sleep.
He went to sleep.
I went to sleep, yo. Yeah, listen, I think throughout the whole playoffs and the course, you know, there were guys, you know, we would get our game plan. A game plan would be front, game plan, checks, adjustments. Every week I would go into the facility on Tuesdays, you know, and coaches would do the game plan. Defensive coordinator, Perry Fuel, would say, hey, Trell, come here. He's like, look, we got this in, we got this in, we got this in, we got this in. Is it too much for you? You think you can handle it? Because I was playing both safety and nickel. And also I was playing like a bison position. So I was playing 3 positions. He was like, can you handle it? And I was like, yeah, I got it. Boom. Week 3, we're playing San Francisco. Hey, Trell, we got this in. You think you can handle it? Yeah. Super Bowl time. We got Brady. Trell, I got this in.
You look at it all.
Trell, do you think you can handle it? In my head, I'm like, hell no. But you know, what came out of my mouth is, yeah, I got it. I made sure I studied that front and back every day. Like I was so dialed in, man. Like more, you know, and it wasn't even about the game itself. I think it was more about having too much on my plate. Like I've never ever been a guy where I felt like there was too much for me to handle. And I wasn't gonna let that be the first time.
Yeah.
So whatever I had to dial in and do, I made sure that I got it done. Like it was, the world was closed off to me, and I gotta get this. Everyone else's game plan was front sheet. My game plan was front and back. Adjustment, checks, all right, at this time, you're going to go to the vice position. Now you're going to go play Wes Welker. Now then we're going to back you up a deep third safety. Like I had to know every single thing with every check, every adjustment. And you're playing Brady. You're not going to outsmart Brady. You just have to be better doing your stuff than he is going to be doing his stuff. And that's how you beat someone like Brady. Right. But it was a lot. And I was mentally and physically exhausted to the point where when that game was done, I think that's the only time ever from the age of 6 to when I retired at 33 years old. That's the only time where I've ever felt like I completely exhausted myself. Like completely. Like when I tell you, I don't think I had another play left in me. I don't think I had another play left. And I exhausted myself mentally and physically. And that was like, to me, the first time, like I've heard the term leave it all on the field. Like I heard it before. Right. But that was the time where I physically felt that I left it all on the field. Like I was done, completely drained to the point where I couldn't even enjoy winning the Super Bowl. I got back to the hotel. I didn't see my mom, I didn't see my dad, my girlfriend, like my sister, brother. I went to the room. I was hoarse, couldn't speak, and just knocked out.
And it's incomplete, and the ball game's over, and the Giants have won Super Bowl 46. World champs. Can't nobody take it from us. It's set in stone.
And then the next day, it's like, yo, like, we won a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like, it took me that day to recover. And once I recovered, listen, when I tell you I partied for a month straight. Like I had my homeboy with me in New York, in Jersey, named Kamal. And every night he would know it. You get that back call, let's get it. For a month straight, like we partied, like we were rock stars, man. And it was honestly and truly like the best feeling because I felt like it was so well deserved. Yeah. Because we got it from the gutter. That's just so much more like rewarding, in itself, as opposed to just being dominant all year long and you go and you win. It's kind of expected, but you're fighting for dear life at 7-7. You got to win 2 games to get into the playoffs. And then now all of a sudden, bam, you're rocking full throttle. To me, it just had a little different meaning to it.
Yeah. And I think that speaks to your mentality. You kind of had an underdog. You said in Miami, how could I separate myself? You liked the challenge, even though it was a lot on your plate. You said, I got it anyway, figured it out, dialed in, and like you said, left it all on the field. So I think that's one of the reasons why you could, there's no chips on your shoulder. You walked away the way you did it. And like you said, it was well deserving. Last question I want to ask before we kind of wrap up. What you talked about Deion in the beginning and having a lot of swag. I remember with you, I was like, he's got a lot of swag. He, on the field, off the field, Trell's gonna come with some kind of swag. Is that something? Is that you? Is that a Miami thing? Is that you looking up to Deion? Is it look good, feel good, play good? What did that mean to you? And do you feel like it gave you kind of an edge?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, I would be lying if I said no. I think like I truly believe in that. You look good, you feel good, you play good. Like I needed to have my pads at a certain length. I needed to have, my cleats a certain type of way. Like I needed to be clean. I had to be fresh. I had to be in my own element. Yeah. And, to me, it just made me play. I can't necessarily say better, but it just made me play like I was capable of playing. I felt like that was me. Like if I came out there with just high socks and, my pants hanging over my knees and, looking like the prototypical, how they send, this is how we want your uniform to be on Sunday. If I look like that guy, listen, I probably got beat for 100 touchdowns. Hey, listen, I don't think I could have ever played a game like that. So I needed my own swag. I needed to feel like me. When we were at Miami, I remember Sean Taylor and myself, Sean would hit me up, hey man, you're gonna go get the tape? You're gonna get the spat this weekend? I'm like, yeah. So I would run to the sporting goods store and get the orange and the green tape. I would lace us up. Like we would be out there fresh. Yeah. That was us. Like we had a different type of swagger, and that mentality till this day, like when my son goes on the football field, his cleats are spray painted with the black and yellow. He got his little wristbands. He swagged out. He don't even know what his swagger level is like, but he's gonna know soon enough. My friends would come back and they would give me the commentary. Trell, like, we knew it was you on the field. You always pulling your shirt down. You know, you got them pants that's always above your knee. I can't tell you how much money I gave the NFL for having my pants above my knee. But listen, I made it. You can have a little bit back, but I'm going to be fresh. Like, I need to be fresh in order to play on Sundays. Like, that was just me.
You always look at Trell because he always got some kind of swag that's a little different. And I was like, he's got on, looks like soccer cleats, or the cleats were longer. I don't remember what it was. So I'm just curious.
I only did that for one season. That particular season, I remember them changing the style and the model of the Nike Vapors. And I didn't like any of the cleats. I'm like, man, like, they just don't feel good on my feet. Like, you know, just mental. You know, it was all mental. It was completely mental. So I was like, I need some shoes to hug my feet. And I just saw those shoes on East Bay one time and I bought them. And I was like, man, these are soccer cleats. I looked at the bottom, they had studs. I was like, man, I wonder if I can play with these. And I practiced in them, and, you know, I didn't slip and fall. And I practiced in them again, I didn't slip and fall. So I was like, okay, this is going to be my new swagger this whole year. I'm just going to play in soccer cleats. And that's how I rocked out with them.
Advice you would give to yourself at the University of Miami, on field, off the field, doesn't have to be football.
I feel like I went into college with the right mindset, you know, just to go in and you compete and be yourself. You have to be yourself within yourself. Yeah. Like, you know, I didn't want to go there trying to be anyone else. I didn't want to go there and trying to compete with things that I couldn't compete with at that time. I believed in learning in phases. You know, I wasn't no comparison to Phil Buchanan or Mike Rump coming in as a freshman. But what I did understand is that I can learn from those guys. Right. So there were certain things that I was just always picking their brains about. It was Phil Buchanan, Michael Rump. You know, they were telling me how to use different techniques. They were telling me how to work with my strengths or how to turn my weaknesses into strengths. So I think me going in with the open mentality, as to be open to coaching, be open to constructive criticism, be open to criticism. It didn't matter, because all of that's going to make you a better person. Know your role. As a freshman, you had to know your role. And my role was to learn from the guys ahead of me and to dominate and be as dominant as I can be on special teams. And that was my only role. When we got in the game as freshmen, because we played a lot as freshmen, because we blew a lot of teams out that year. I remember Ed Reed coming and telling us, if they score one touchdown, your ass won't play again the rest of the year. And, you know, I'm looking at myself and I'm thinking, you know, he's not a coach. How can he tell us that? But then I'm also looking at myself and I'm thinking, well, Ed has a different type of clout around here. If they score, we ain't playing again. So let's get down to business. So honestly, like, when Sean Taylor and myself, like, we got in the game as freshmen, man, like, a lot of times we played better than the starters. Like, we locked it down. Frank Gore got in the game. He was, listen. Yeah. Frank was on a different level.
Listen, he was. I remember watching him. Like, did the camera mess up? Is he moving at the same speed as everybody else?
Frank was a different animal. Listen, like, and I played against a lot of great running backs.
As a freshman, too.
As a freshman, till this day, as a freshman, if Frank Gore would have never had those knee injuries, he was the best running back I had ever played against in my life. Yeah. And it really wasn't close. Wasn't the fastest, wasn't the strongest. His running style, and as effective as he was as a running back, it was different than any other running back I had ever played.
Yeah, it's different.
It was different. Like, he would run and he would cut off both feet, and he would get so low to the point you couldn't even see him, but then he was still moving in transition. And then he had a stutter, double side move with a strong stiff, like, bro, like, Sean couldn't tackle him. I couldn't tackle him. It was like what the hell? It was like you were playing ping pong. Like it was weird. It was like you would get there and you would make the contact, but it would like you would bounce off. Like you couldn't really wrap up. You couldn't really you couldn't stick them. It was weird. Like I've never ever had that in my life. But Frank was a different beast, man. Like, you know, he still went on to have a 17-year career. However long
amazing career,
you know, and after 2 knee injuries, man. But he was a, you know, Geechee boy, man. He's different.
Yeah, different. I remember I trained with him a lot with Pete, PC. So I got to know him pretty good. Advice you would give yourself as a rookie coming into Arizona? Life advice, football advice, either one.
Football advice I would have given myself is, you know, just make sure you study your craft and you perfect your craft. For me, it was a bit different scenario, being that I was a cornerback and I only played press coverage in college. When I got to NFL, they wanted me to play off. I didn't know how to play off. I was looking like a duck out of water. Like my back pedal was stank. It was stank. And I just had to work on that and keep working on it, keep working on it, keep working on it. You know, the best advice I would have given myself is just make sure you're well-rounded in your craft, you know, before, you know, making it to that next level. And off the field advice, I would just say, first and foremost, you know, just always make sure you keep your name and keep your nose clean. That's first and foremost. Second of all, make sure you protect your money. And when I say you protect your money, I mean the individual themselves. Make sure you protect your money. Make sure you know what you're doing with your money. If you do not know what you're doing with your money, you should not be investing your money. When you have the moment and the time to really sit down yourself and observe what's going on and really dial in to know through and through what's going on, or to build a team around you that only you trust, not a team that was given to you, a team that you hand chose and that you trust to go over your finance, to look over your finance and to manage your finance. I believe that every player should have access to their money at all times. You know, don't leave it in the hands of financial advisor. Don't leave it to the point where your money is leaving out and checks are being written and you don't know about it. Like, I'm a firm believer in, you know, make sure that you are in charge of your money, because you're the one that worked hard for it. You're the one that deserve it. Don't put your trust in other people. That's just my firm belief. You know, I was lucky because I had my mom that I trust with both hands tied behind my back and my eyes closed, because I know who she is as a person, first of all. And I know that she's not a greedy person. I know that she's only looking out for my best interests. Not everyone has that. Right. So that I understand that there is other people that you have to lean on, that you have to rely on. But in the same token, make sure that you're aware of every single thing that is happening with your money at every given point in time.
Yeah, good advice. Just a curious question I had. What did you like better? Was there a preference between corner or safety, or it didn't matter?
Okay, so I played corner my first 3 years in the NFL. I played nickel 10 out of 11 years of my NFL career. And I may have played safety, like true safety, maybe 1 or 2 years in the NFL, like true safety. So the position that I like the best is being around the ball. Don't matter what it is. Just let me play the ball. Let me use my instincts, which was probably the nickel position. I like the nickel position. I can blitz. I can play run. I can play pass. I can be a force to be reckoned with. And I think my favorite position playing throughout the NFL was the nickel position.
You could play linebacker today and just be dominant, because it's a pass first league now.
Correct.
So now I look at all the safeties I played with. I was like, man, today they'd be playing linebackers, and I'd probably get moved out to the edge. It was great to watch you, to play with you. Thanks for jumping on the interview. And you know, maybe we'll do a follow-up in the future on, you know, parenthood, because, you know, I could tell you have a passion for it, and you're really dialed into the kids, and it's really good to see. We could end it with that. Any last famous words from Trell as we close it out?
Whatever you're doing in life, you know, it's like I tell my son, or, you know, I tell my daughters. My daughters are 4 years old. I have 4-year-old twins, and I'm working with my son the other day on the soccer, we're just practicing in the field, we're running through cones and stuff like that. We don't really get to do it too much because I like to just let him be a kid and just go off his natural instincts. Yeah. But sometimes we'll get out there in the midst of it and just have a little fun. But that day we were actually working, working on him sticking it, getting low, going around the cones. Yeah. And my daughter, who's 4 years old, she says she wants to play soccer. So she comes out there with me, and she's running around the cone and her hair just bouncing all over the place. She's real ditzy with it, right? Yeah. And I tell her, listen, Zari, like if you're gonna run, let's run. And my daughter can run. She comes with the same thing, playing around this and that. I say, get out of here, go with your mama. And Val comes back to me and she's carrying Azaria and she's crying. She's like, what happened? I said, listen, I told her on this field, we work. Yeah. I told her, I said, on this field, we work. And I'm a firm believer in that. Anytime that you're on that field, you're on that gridiron, we're coming to work. I don't care if you're my daughter, I don't care if you're his son, I don't care if you're 4 years old, I don't care if you're 2 years old, we're gonna find a way to work. Yeah. So I come to her, I say, Azaria, are you ready to run? Are you ready to work? She said, yeah. She goes through the cones next time. She's running. Bah, 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 bah. She turns around, run. She's running through. And I say, thank you, baby. I say, anytime you're on this field, you work. Yeah. And something that simple, now she understands. Now she's going to be programmed and know, when I come to daddy, if it's fun time, it's fun time. Right. But when he has those cones set up and we're working, I know I better be for real. It's no time to get to work. So yeah, I just wanted to instill that in her because there's going to be a point in time where she's going to be playing soccer with boys or girls, and you know what I mean? And she's going to have to get it in and dial in and boogie. But if you instill it in them at a young age, they're going to understand, okay, listen, there's a time to have fun and play, and my kids do a lot of that. And then there's a time to work. So just instilling that, instilling in them while they're young, they're sponges. They're going to be whoever it is that you want them to be at that point in time. When they get older, things may go haywire, but that's on them. But when they're young, they're sponges. You can instill it in them now. I'm the same way with school. I'm even worse when it comes to school. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, like no, we don't play around here. Like we don't play. Because I know your potential. Right. If I know your potential and I can see your potential, we're gonna bring that out of you. Right. Yeah. Love it.